And now now it's Saturday morning. So this is where people's weekend starts. So they do a weekend of probably bloody nothing really, just lounging around. My alarm goes off at 6:50 and I wake up and get ready for work. So here I was just checking my YouTube channel before work. I didn't really do too much else interesting because I have to really get up and go on a Saturday morning because I got to do stuff before work. Oh yeah, I also checked my individual Stonks portfolio as well. So there's a little bit of changes on this morning in particular, because obviously these are US markets, so they were kind of like open while I was asleep. So yeah, there's a little bit of changes, but yeah, most of these are in the red because a lot of them I bought last year when I didn't really know, like I knew a bit, but I didn't really know how the whole economy played into the financial markets. So that's why a lot of them are red. And I'm just hodling because I got diamond hands. So every Saturday morning before work, I will fill up petrol. It's just a tradition of mine. It just works well into the routine since the petrol station is only like literally across the road from the supermarket I work at. Whereas if I fill it up during the week, I kind of have to go out of my way and it's kind of like peak hour and it's just a pain, whereas there's no one really around on a Saturday morning. And I don't do it on a Sunday morning because I have to get up an hour earlier and, you know, I'd rather not. So I just do it on a Saturday morning. And I don't fill up petrol on a Saturday night after work because I kind of just want to get to the gym. And then after the gym, I kind of want to just get home. So that's why it's Saturday morning. So 7:33, breakfast on the go. So I'd rather have something like a cereal or something like that, but I'd rather just have a bit more sleep. And I also need a bit more protein intake for Saturdays just because I don't have as many opportunities to eat as I do at the office. Whereas at the office, I can kind of just go to the fridge, which is like right pretty close to my desk, and just whip out some food and start eating, or I can start drinking some milk, whereas obviously you can't really do that in the supermarket. So yeah, and yeah, obviously just more protein as you can see on screen. 7:49, that's just a snippet of me filling up petrol. So usually, I think my car's about 60, it's got a 60-litre tank, and I always have about 5 to 10 litres of petrol left after a regular week. So if I like have to drive to, I don't know, some other capital city, like Melbourne, for example, for some reason during the week, then I might need to fill up twice for that week, but in a normal week, I don't have to. So at the time of these images on the 12th of February, petrol was a dollar, like 169 cents per litre. Am I reading that right? Yeah. Yeah, nice. But yeah, it's like $2.04 at the moment or something. So it's gone up quite a bit. So that's another thing with the CPI data thing. Like, what's that? Petrol's gone up like 40 cents. I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but it's a lot more than 7.5%. And, you know, that's obviously something that impacts all of our daily lives, unless you have a Tesla, but, you know, I digress. Saturday, so, well, obviously it was already Saturday, but yeah, Saturday, 7:55. See that little Woolworths truck thing? I don't exactly know why that's there, but it is. See the sunlight, the sunrise sort of beaming over it. So it's a nice little way to start your Saturday. So what this whole day is going to be, it's just going to be little pictures of me at various locations in the store doing my job. So what some people will do is they'll like hide a camera and film themselves working and do a time lapse, but there's no real opportunities for that here, and then the manager would come and yell at you. Well, maybe they wouldn't. Actually, I don't think they'd care, but you know, like it's just a bit odd. That's all. And I kind of don't have time to edit that stuff. So, and you get the point. That nobody's trying to watch a video of some retail worker doing a time lapse of their work week. Like, you get the point. So at 8:16, I was like splitting some stock. So stock will come on these little pallets, and you got to basically just take it off there and put it into cages. And then you take it from the cages out to the shelves and you put it on the shelves. And then whatever's not left over, you put it back in the fridge or back in the storeroom, you know, whether it's a cold product or not. 9:14, putting some stock away in a certain cool room. I believe I have a video of it. I'll put it here if I still have it. So that resume translation, so for those of you who are in the professional sort of realm, you'll know how you've got to use big pompous windbag language on your resume and your LinkedIn profile. So all I did here was I took stuff from a pallet and I put it on cages and then I moved it somewhere else. But if you want to be a fancy pants, you could say something like, my oversight of company inventory allowed me to allocate previously unorganized stock into their appropriate holding points, thus increasing operational efficiency and creating a more streamlined working environment for not only myself and my peers, but for the company overall. So like it's more streamlined because people don't have to go walking to another storeroom to get the stock. It's just in like another storeroom where it's more easily accessible. So you get the point. You get the point. Just being a pompous windbag. So at 9:26, had a pee break. And there's pretty good lighting in this toilet. So I definitely didn't pass on the opportunity to get a nice little flex. And yes, those are our work uniforms. So like I pulled up the sleeves a little bit, but they kind of show the guns a bit. So it's, it's nice going to work, being able to flex a little bit. And they're very comfortable t-shirts too. The uniform's changing soon, so I don't know if we're still going to be allowed to wear these, but hopefully they give us shirts like this, but they're black because I like black more than I like green. So at 9:39, I'm in another room doing stuff, nothing interesting. At 10:23, I'm on my break. I've got my potato salad and my tuna. So there's about 26 grams of protein there, 15-ish grams of fat, and 40-ish grams of carbs because it's spring water tuna, so there's no fat in it. Whereas if you have like olive oil tuna or smoked tuna, which tastes good, but they're pretty high in fat. So all the fat's coming from like the extra ingredients in the potato salad. So, and obviously 40-ish grams of carbs, that's strictly just a potato salad. And obviously the protein is strictly just the tuna too. Well, there's a little bit of protein in potato salad, but most of it's obviously from the tuna. So yeah, work breaks, it's like a social event for me because I've got friends there and we usually go on break at the same time. You can kind of see the outline of their sort of black uniform right next to that tomato sauce. And you can also see the lollies on the table. So there's a lot of temptation to eat junk at this place, but boys, if you're on the diet, and girls, if you're on the diet, little trick is just to bring your stuff from home, eat that before you even think about snacking on what's in the tea room, because chances are your hunger cravings will disappear once you've actually had the food that you're supposed to eat. Eyes on the prize. So at 11:07, I'm splitting stock. So as you can see, I'm on the shop floor and I'm in the aisle, obviously, and I've got stuff, obviously. So I'm pretty much just taking this stuff and putting it onto the shelves. It's pretty much just as straightforward as that. So 11:17, another pee break because I'm very hydrated. So yeah, another mandatory flex in the toilets, different pose this time. Got the bicep going. Yeah, not bad. So 11:28, I'm doing this thing called splitting the load. It's kind of what I did earlier in the day, but there's like another load that comes in. So, we get a shitload of stuff in at once. You just move it from the pallet to the cage, move the cage to the shelves. I'd already mentioned that. There's another video of like sort of what we're doing. I'll put it there if I can find it, but I'm pretty sure you kind of get the point. So 12:46, I go on my lunch break. So every Saturday as well, I'll also do my shopping during my lunch break because I don't want to get to work any earlier and do my shopping then because I'd rather sleep. And I don't want to do it after work either because for some reason it's busy at 5 o'clock on a Saturday night. I guess people are getting dinner or they're like getting stuff like lollies for a night out or something, but you have to wait for a register. Whereas I don't really have to do that around the middle of the day, oddly enough. So I do my shopping then. Eats into my lunch break, but that's fine. I get an hour and 15 minutes anyway. That's plenty of time. So I'll always do my second shopping trip for the week on a Saturday during my lunch break, whereas the other one was a Tuesday after my upper sesh. So yeah, every Saturday is petrol and groceries day. So at 12:52, I'm having lunch, like by the time I do my shopping and get my food microwaved and all that. So on this particular day, I had mince. At the current time of like February, when these images were taken, the diet called for kangaroo, but on this particular day I had mince because they didn't have kangaroo like the week prior. So I had to cook another type of red meat, so I picked lean mince, and obviously that's all I had available because I ran out of kangaroo, but that's fine. Red meat is red meat. It's all good. So yeah, I like mince, so I'm not really complaining. My sweet potato, as per usual, they never really run out of that. So I'll have 150 grams of red meat. So in this case, it was mince, because 150 grams of red meat brings you up to 30 grams of protein at least. So I like 30 grams of protein, and it's a nice quantity. Like, it's not too little, but it's not too much either. And it fits in the tub really nice. Yeah, 200 grams of sweet potato as per usual. That works out to be like 40 grams of carbs. So it's just nice to sort of keep your mental track of your calories and whatnot. And again, it's just a nice quantity amount. It's not too much, it's not too little. I'll have one kiwi that's not here because it's still in the fridge. I'm not going to have it with my hot food. So yeah, the kiwi is pending. Yeah, 30 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, 40 grams of carbs, or 48 grams of carbs, because the kiwi is about 8 grams of carbs. So that's the macros for this lunch in particular. Normally I'll have some dark chocolate, but I forgot to bring it on this day because I'm a doofus, but whatever, who cares. Iodized table salt, because iodine and sodium, like iodine is it's like a mineral, I think. Yeah, it's not a vitamin. It's a mineral that a lot of people are deficient in. It's good for your thyroid, which helps your metabolism, amongst other, benefits. Seaweed's the best food for iodine, but if you're not really going to have seaweed like I do, like I forgot to bring it as well on this day, which is why it wasn't in my tea break picture, but whatever, we've got a backup with iodized table salt. And then sodium as well. Sodium is not bad for you. It's bad for you if you're hypertensive, like you got high blood pressure and you're salt sensitive. If you have a lot of potassium as well, which is in potatoes, it'll basically mitigate any downsides of sodium anyway. But again, that's just like, I can delve into more depth in a video eventually. Again, I'm under a time pressure to get this out. Barbecue sauce, because taste, that's not even in this picture, I don't think. Yeah, no, I hadn't actually put the barbecue sauce on the meat yet, but yeah, I just use a little bit. I do it to taste. The amount I put on, it's probably about like 3 to 5 grams of carbs, so I'll keep a mental note of that. Water, because water, like what else am I going to drink? Like a protein shake or something, like I'll save that for later. I'm not going to have any soft drink or fizzy drink, none of that shit. It's just, yeah, obviously water, because water, I don't really need to explain that. And Patrick Boyle, because Patrick Boyle. So this video in particular, I think he called it the Crocodile of Wall Street. So he was basically giving his take on some recent crypto scandal. Long story short, a bunch of doofuses online were involved in this like crypto scam from years ago, and the chick involved in it, her name was like, well, his street name was like Razzle Khan, and then she also called herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. Had really cringe rapping or something, but I kind of already knew about this. This is a little bit like old news, but I watched Patrick Boyle anyway because he's just great. I first heard of this scandal from Data Dash, and then I heard it a couple of days later on a few other channels. So all these like finance channels I watch, like I get all the info no matter who I watch. Like someone will give me the info at some stage. So yep, just keep listening to investment stuff and you'll keep on top of the things. So Saturday, this picture was taken around 1:40. Well, was at 1:40. Lunch break is almost over. Press F in the chat. So normally I nap after I've finished my lunch. So I can get through work just fine, but gym, it becomes a bit of a slog if I don't have a nap, because obviously I've been working an active job for 9 hours, or not 9 hours straight because you have breaks, but like pretty much 9 hours, like you're on your feet and all that. And it's a different kind of fatigue. Like office job, you're like mentally fatigued, but you're not really physically fatigued. Whereas in this sort of retail job, you're physically fatigued, but not mentally fatigued. So it's a different kind of fatigue, but I like to have a nap, especially because I get a much longer break because of the way that the retail award works. Whereas I only get half an hour at the office, so I don't have time to nap. And I don't really need it most days anyway. So yeah, I normally nap, but it was just way too hot on this day. Like my car is like an oven, and I'm not gonna like have my car with like the windows down throughout the whole break, so my car gets all cool with the whatever wind is around, because I'm not risking Huntsman's in my car. I'd literally rather just not sleep. So when I nap, I very rarely do I get the chance to nap for more than 20 minutes. Like I'm pretty sure I never actually get the chance, but that's fine because even if I could, I wouldn't nap for that long anyway. So if you nap for more than I think it's like 25 or 30 minutes, but I cut it off at 20 just to be safe, you can slowly dip into REM sleep, rapid eye movement, and that's where your body does most of its recovery and you start to have like the dreams and stuff. But if you get woken up in the middle of one of these, you can feel really groggy afterwards. So that's why keep your naps really short so that you don't have this problem. Also, yeah, as you can see, I don't have a proper full nap because it's quite loud, because I park on the side of the street and there's a lot of cars driving past, and you got noisy customers with their trolleys and talking to the kids, and the kids are screaming and all that. So I'm also I dip in and out of a nap. So it's more so like 5 or 6 mini naps that I have. Each nap maybe like a minute, minute and a half or something like that. But then I dip back into one after about half a minute. It sounds like it'd make you really tired. For me, it recharges me. And even if it doesn't recharge me straight away, I tend to get a lot more energy as the shift ends. So it's sort of like a delayed benefit. I sort of have my little naps now, but I sort of recharge a few hours later, if that makes sense. It's just what works for me. I don't have any science or anything to back it up, but maybe try it for yourself if you feel like you could benefit from something like this. But that's just an idea for you to try out. So after my lunch break ends, well, actually these images are just all on the same screen because I've got 113 slides here, and it's really starting to lag lag the PowerPoint. So whenever I try to sift through the images, it's just taken forever to load. So I figured I'd start sort of condensing the slides down. So rest of the afternoon, 1:48, I was chilling before going back to work because it was quite hot outside. So I was really sweating. So I was just chilling in an air-conditioned office to sort of cool down. At 2:17, I'm doing these things called markdowns. It's where you reduce stock that's got to clear by today or tomorrow or the day after. Kind of an important job. 3:48, just more shelf stocking. 4:55, timed that well. So yeah, I literally coincidentally just happened to basically finish all my work roughly the time I was meant to finish work. Finished stacking the cage I had, when I was about to leave. Obviously, if it hit 5 o'clock and I've still got some work to do on the cage, I'll just put it back in the cool room. I'm not going to stay back. I don't like my job that much. And, how dare you eat into my gym time? I'd charge overtime for that shit. So at 5:02, I'm about to leave, but I'm chatting with a pal, so that's all right. Can't be completely antisocial. I'm not gonna have zero friends, but hey, I'm very strict on my grind. You gotta let loose sometimes. Even though it was only a couple of minutes, but anyway, we'll move on. So, Saturday night session. So normally it's upper and arms, but this workout in particular, it was just upper because I did arms yesterday, so I didn't want to put too much wear and tear on my joints. So it's not so much my biceps or my triceps or my delts that I was worried about overtraining, which, you don't really overtrain from 2 sessions in a row, you overtrain from several weeks in a row. But that's another topic for another day. I'm also worried about the wear and tear on the joints. So that's why I didn't do arms, again. Normally I do arms on a Thursday, so they've got a a whole day of no training, so they'd be fine. But what you're seeing is what my workout is supposed to look like. But basically, I stopped it at the neutral pull-ups 3 sets, and the rest of that I didn't do. So obviously I'm benching again. I got my 5 sets, I'm just warming up, and then I work up to the top set. I'll do lower reps on this day, so I'll do roughly between 8 and like 10 to 12 reps for my first set, and then my next sets will be like 12 to 15 reps on the flat bench. A little bit high for compound movements, but you know, it's worked for me. Like I can already see like this vein in my pec that I've never really seen before, even when I was super diced. So, and yeah, it seems to be working. Like I noticed my pecs have gotten bigger. It could just be because of more volume overall, not necessarily the fact that I'm doing a little bit higher reps than what's considered like conventional for compound movements. But yeah, look, there's not much to say here. Like I've already obviously done some benching. You've already kind of seen that. So I don't know where I'm going to overlay this audio and the actual gym workout itself, but at one point after a set, you can see me sort of leaning forward on the bench, and I'm like doing this sort of like flying thing with my arms. Like I'm extending my arms out to the side, and it looks like I'm trying to fly. Like it looks silly, but it's, again, this is another thing I learned as a PT that I have done for years, but I forgot the intricate details of why I do it. But it's got something to do with helping like your posterior deltoid muscles and your posture in your back after you've benched, because you've obviously just done a lot of anterior movements, like anterior shoulder movements when you bench, obviously. So this sort of like cancels that out in a way. Like again, if you want me to do an in-depth like analysis, not analysis, like an in-depth sort of walkthrough of all my like warm-ups and my workouts and all that, just let me know. But yeah, I don't know how long this video is so far, but you can, you know, it's probably pretty long, so I'm not going to elaborate on everything, as I've already mentioned. So after benching, I'll do like barbell rows. I used to do pen lay rows, but I found that it's a little bit too fatiguing for me, letting the bar drop right to the ground and grabbing it back up. So I just, yeah, let my lats stretch as far as I want them to stretch and then pull the weight back up. Yeah, barbell rows, nice movement, nice compound movement. Good for like the thickness in your back, whereas like pull-ups and stuff are good for like the width, but both movements will obviously build your back regardless. Like my lats are more wide than they are thick, and that's because I've focused on pull-ups most of my gym training career, if you want to call it that. But I do have some width in the back too. Whereas if I was to switch it around, if I did mostly rows and stuff and not really pull-ups, I'd probably have a thicker back but not as wide. So just do pull-ups and rows is what I'm trying to say. But even if you just exclusively do one, you will still build some overall mass in your back. So instead of regular pull-ups for this one, I'll do neutral pull-ups. I find it's just a little bit better on my wrists, and it's nice to just sort of switch it up. As you can see, my range of motion's a lot better on this one. It's because not only am I going lighter, but I also obviously saw the clips of me doing pull-ups on the Tuesday workout when I'd never really seen that before, and I was like, oh, I'm really not going as high as I thought, and I'm sort of bopping my head like an idiot. Whereas you can see I'm not really doing that here. I might do it on the last couple of reps, but you know, if you've ever done pull-ups, you know what it's like. Like you can't help but bop your head up over the bar. So that workout only took me like an hour or so, maybe a bit over, once you factor in warm-up and cool-down times and all that. But normally it's like 2 hours because I've got all those like arm movements to go through yet, and the cable crossovers, and sometimes I'll even do abs at the end just because it's a Saturday night and I get a bit of a boost from doing a bit more in the gym because I know everyone else is not at the gym right now. There was that other dude you saw in the clip. He was like putting the bar away next to the power rack. He's always there on a Friday or Saturday night, so he's putting in the work. It's good to see. But I mean, that's pretty much it. There's not really anyone else. So, you know, his competition, my competition, they're pretty weak. So at 6:43, I was done gym. Oh, hang on, so it can't have been an hour then. All right, so maybe it was a bit longer than an hour, but I brought my groceries to the gym because we've got a nice little mini fridge there, thank God, so I can keep all my cold stuff there, whereas my other alternative is to drive home first and then drive back to gym. That is a waste of half an hour. Or I had to leave them at work and then drive back to work and pick them up, which is a waste of about 10 minutes, but it's probably even more because I know I'd get caught up talking to some friends there because I got a few friends who work the Saturday night there. So yeah, thank goodness for that. So 7:13, I'm home, and yeah, I'm getting a bit more vitamin D, so I'm sort of like cooling down from the gym. Like, I don't normally do a cool down. Like, when I said cool down before, it was like the rotator cuff muscle workout, like cool downs again. I don't do like brisk cardio or anything, because if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it in the sun. So, or if there's no sun, at least I do it with fresh air. So I don't really do cool down cardio at the gym. I'll do that at home. And I'll only really do that after a leg workout just to get a bit more blood pumped in the muscles, which I mentioned on Wednesday after my leg workout. So between between 7:20 and 8 o'clock, I had a shower and I just did some other general stuff that I can't really remember. Like, maybe I spent longer walking than I remember because it was sunny, and I was like, well, I got time, so I'll just spend a bit more time in the sun. So at 8 o'clock, I'm starting to get dinner ready. So what you're seeing on the 8:05 image are some receipts for the day. So the one on the left is fuel and the one on the right is my groceries. So I get discounts from being a Woolworths employee. Although I've come to learn that the fuel discount, I don't actually know if it's directly, like, I know you can get it if you're not an employee at Woolworths, but like, I don't get more of a discount. Like, I get the same discount as what any regular person would get if they sign up to like a rewards program or something. I'm not actually sure, but I do get a discount nonetheless, and it is technically related to my employment at Woolworths. So I just jot that down on this Excel doc. So I just like tracking the savings, and it's another way of seeing the bright side of working a job like this. So there's plenty of benefits. Like, obviously there's extra money. It's more physical activity than what most people would get on a weekend anyway. Like, I'm pretty sure I've got an image of it coming up, but I do more than 10,000 steps each day on the weekend purely because of the job. I doubt I'd get that otherwise. I mean, unless I had an active day, but good luck finding some friends who want to do something super active each day on each weekend. Whereas, I'm getting paid for that and I'm doing that as well, and it's a social event and I get little discounts and just a bunch of other stuff. So just helps you see the bright side. Yeah, knew it. So here's the image of the steps that I did for that day. 15,000. I don't actually know what I did different that day, but normally it's like 10 to 12,000. So I don't know, maybe I was working faster. Oh, actually, no, now that I think of it, the images in all the other like storerooms and stuff, in this day in particular, I had to like duck down to a lot more. Like, they're all in the same store, obviously, but the store's kind of big. So, you got a bit of a walk between various like storage rooms and whatnot. So between 8:10 and 9:30, I had dinner. Didn't take any pictures of that, I don't think, because it's just eggs and spinach. It's the same shit you've already seen. Getting my meals ready for the next day, which is something you've also already seen. It's like my sweet potato, my red meat, my kiwi, my tuna, and my carb sauce, whether that's potato salad or pasta salad, my protein shake, just general stuff that you've already seen. Got my nice little bedtime routine. So I don't think I've mentioned this, but I get my stuff ready before I go to bed because, one, you never know how you'll actually sleep. Like, if you have a terrible night's sleep and you wake up all groggy and stuff, you'll definitely forget something, and then it'll just completely throw your day off. Like, imagine getting to work, realizing you left your lunch at home and you're trying to be healthy and all that. Like, I'd honestly be lost. Like, I don't know what I'd have for lunch if I didn't bring my stuff. Like, I'd have to duck down and get like a palmy from the pub or something. That's really expensive, it's processed, it takes time for it to cook. Like, it's just, yeah, just get your stuff ready the night before. And also you feel more organized. And also you'd rather sleep a little bit more. Like, I'd rather sleep the extra 5 minutes than get it ready, because like, it's not like if I didn't do this prep, I'd go to bed 5 minutes earlier. Like, I'd probably go to bed around the same time. So I hope that makes sense. So another flex on the normies. Saturday night, everyone's normally out partying. The finance is getting depleted, so they're spending how much on pre-drinks, they're spending how much on like an Uber or a taxi or whatever, they're spending how much on entry to get into the club, they're spending how much on drinks in the club. Like, geez, drinks inside the club are expensive. It's just nuts. Gains getting hampered too, so alcohol, I won't elaborate too much on this, but alcohol diminishes your protein synthesis and like your testosterone and stuff. And I don't exactly know the number off my head. Protein synthesis might be slowed down by like 25% from memory. I'm not too sure, but I've also seen it's like the workout prior to drinking and the workout after is like severely diminished like gains from it. So if I was to drink on a Saturday night, basically a lot of my upper workout for that Saturday night would go to waste, and the following leg workout would also go to waste. And bloody hell, I mean, losing an upper session is bad enough, but God, imagine doing all those squats and leg movements and stuff and knowing it's all going to waste. Like, oh, no thanks. So anyway, that's the normies. Me, I worked 9 hours on the Saturday. I had gym. So usually it's 2 hours of gym, but this was 1 hour, but still 1 hour more of gym than most people. I ate healthy all day because I meal prep and I get my stuff ready the night before. And I have intelligent conversations with friends, no pointless drama nonsense that you'd see at other parties. So yeah, this image with one of my mates, his nickname is Jeff Side's 125th fan because it's a funny gym joke. So as you can see, it took me a little bit to reply to his message, but as you can imagine, I'm pretty busy. Like, I mean, I could reply at lunch, but my attention would be drawn away from like my finance stuff. And then obviously, like, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm typing a long ass message, I forget to like put food in my mouth. So like, I just want to hurry up and get my lunch eaten, because normally I go and nap, but on this day in particular, I just went for a bit more of a walk. That's probably where the extra steps came from, actually. I went for a walk in the sun, now that I remember. Yeah, that's what I did. But point is, I replied a bit late, but I replied nonetheless. So as you can see, we're talking about like the whole Federal Reserve and the macroeconomy stuff at this point. So on this day in particular, or at least the day before, there was this guy who works for the Federal Reserve in the US, and he basically came out on some news thing and he sort of like spooked the markets. Like, he said something that was really bearish, which means it was like bad for investors, and that tanked some stock prices. Now, we're both like long-term holders, but we still don't like this kind of shit. So that's what we're talking about. So that's what he said. So Bullard was the surname of that guy. He came out, he said there's 100 basis point hikes by July the 1st, which is quite a lot. And yeah, hedge against war. So that'll, obviously at the time you're watching this, there's that whole crisis in Ukraine right now. Maybe at the time you're watching, it's over, hopefully, but at the current rate, I don't think so. But yeah, he's just saying that's fucked, and I was just giving my point. Like, you can read it if you want, but we gotta really start to speed this up because time crunch. So 9:58 Saturday, I'm getting ready for bed. So I never get 8 hours of sleep on a Saturday night because I start at 7 a.m. So I got to wake up at 5:50 because that's just the time I need to wake up to make sure I get to work on time. So I can't go to bed earlier because I found that whenever I go to bed earlier on a Saturday night, like 9:30 or like even like 9:20 or something, it's never normally 9 o'clock, because by the time I have like my 2-hour normal gym session, have dinner and shower and get ready and all that, it's like past 9 anyway. So I found that if I go to bed too early, I wake up to urinate and it causes me to stay awake sometimes I end up staying awake for like 3 hours. So I'd rather just sleep a little bit later and I'd rather sleep a little bit later and know that I'll sleep the whole way through. Now, obviously, this doesn't always happen, but yeah, for some reason, I found that if I go to bed later, I just don't wake up. So I don't know. It's probably something to do with the body not being used to sleeping that early. It's like if you try to go to bed at like 6 p.m. and you normally go to bed at 10 p.m., your body will wake up after like 4 or 5 hours. Whereas if you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you'll sleep your full proper sleep like length, if that makes sense. Anyway,